Hi. So, bit of a weird one this, because I set up the channel to share my thoughts on methodology. And this is actually, not to share materials particularly, or, to be a materials creator on this channel. However, I was going through old files and ideas recently, and I unearthed something that I used a few years back that I enjoyed a lot and was quite fun. It has an element of novelty, however. Now, me and novelty, we have an interesting past. There was a time when I did a lot of weird stuff in class, novelty stuff, and I came to sort of realise quite quickly that novelty will only get you so far. Much better to have a solidly planned task and spend your energy listening to your students, collecting errors, supporting them, helping them with what they want to say, and focusing on helping them upgrade their language. However, novelty does, I think, have its place in the classroom, provided that it doesn't get in the way. So novelty is something peripheral to something we're already doing, I think is fine. So anyway, what I unearthed were some questions that I'd made up for writing tasks. Now I'm going to flick over and talk you through some images that hopefully I'll be putting up as I speak. So basically, round about now, I should be displaying an image on your screen. Now that image, hopefully, was a little question. And that's not the true size of the question. The true size of the questions are something like the image you're going to see next, which is image number 2. Well, a little bit bigger than those. You'll see an actual photo in a minute. Now, if we go back to the original question, it says, your English friend Rick sent you some YouTube clips. Write an email to Rick in your email. Thank you for the clips. Say which was your favourite, say why. And on the one that I just showed you, it said write 35 to 45 words. That was an exam I used to prep them for. I think the rubric on the exam changed. So I have 2 versions. The next version looks like this, which would be about where I drop in image 3. And you will have seen, hopefully, that says write about 100 words. So you've got the choice. So we have those. We cut them out. You should see figure 4 now. And that was the little questions cut out. And what I did with these, when I had cut them all out, was I stuck them on the side of some board pens. That will be figure 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Oh, what are we at? Figure 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. It's just a guide to help me know where to drop the figures in when I'm editing this, but it seems to have, failed me, my little system anyway. Here's an image of some pens. And here's an image of some more pens. Now what happens is, if you hand these out to the students, initially they don't notice the questions on them. They're quite well camouflaged. So I had a lot of fun once I handed out mini whiteboards, or I gave them sections at the whiteboards on the wall, if there were enough section, if I had enough whiteboard for students. Then I'd say, answer the questions. And they'd say, what questions, teacher? And then I would smile and say, the questions you're holding in your hands. And it would take them a minute to realise that the questions were on the pens. Now, the questions are all slightly different, so nobody gets exactly the same. The set is, how many questions are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 20 there, 20 different questions. And it's just a novel way of delivering the questions. If you want them to do some more practice, if they're just doing the short version of sort of 35, 45, once they've done one writing, they could even swap with somebody else in the class and try another one. If you like the idea, great. If you think I'm just being silly, it's a little bit silly, but it's a little bit novelty. And sometimes just that tiny bit of novelty is enough to kick them out of the mental rut that they're in and just free them up and get them thinking on other lines. Now, if you haven't got lots of board pens and you haven't got lots of mini boards, you could just put them on the side of pencils. Here are a couple of images showing that. I can keep talking actually, can't I? Because this would just be a break in the video where I'd edited it. And hopefully by now you've already seen the questions stuck on lots of pencils. And then finally, if you don't want to stick these to anything, you could just cut up the little questions and give them mini questions. You've seen the YouTube clip, mini burritos for mini hamsters. You could have mini questions for mini writings and hand them out if you wanted. So there are 3 things that you could do with those. Now, what's the value in getting students to do short writings? Even if they don't have to do short writings for exams, a short writing is quite handy. I mean, it gets them into the habit of reacting to the question prompts. And there's an initial scenario and 3 prompts for every one of those questions. It gets them into the habit of reacting to that language. And also, I think 35 to 45 words is enough for you to work with. If your students are writing at the board, it gives you a chance to look and see. If they're writing on mini boards, it gives you a chance to see. If they're writing collaborative, it's enough to have a look, help them, give them some input to take the sentences a little higher, to enrich the sentences, give them an upgrade there. It gives you a chance to have a look at some common errors, collect a few to talk about later, or even use as the basis of a game. So, there's quite a lot there. If you like those, send me an email. There's the email attached to this channel. There's an email address. I think it's teachingteenagersenglish at gmail.com. It's always below the emails anyway. And I shall send you the different versions of these in Word format so you can change them if you want to. And that there's the 35 to 45 version. There's the 100 version. As I say, I'm sharing it with you because 1, it worked and just provided a slight touch of novelty, and 2, it doesn't get in the way of the activity. And again, if you want to change the questions entirely, well, you've got it there in Word format. You can just go in and write. You might need to increase the size of the of the screen if you're like me and you're finding it harder to read really small writing. Most of your students won't, but if any of your students do have problems, then you can just pair them up with someone who doesn't and get that person to dictate the question to their partner, and you've got a bit of genuine communication. Strength and energy with your teaching.